So people are like, she needs to file charges, and there's like attorneys, of course, on TikTok, and they were like, this is not a crime. This is not sexual assault. Sexual assault is like something spelled out in the law in every state. This is not it. Like it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. It is interesting, and I'm totally invested.
I sent it to you
because it's a shit show, and I can't help it.
No, Aunt Karen needs to get her some legal.
Yeah, I've seen that because that this is a whole mess, and it's great. All right, sorry guys, because that had nothing to do. Which I guess it does have something to do with the show because it is false accusations and how just like this whole hive and mob mentality, how we just, especially with social media now, we're not taking to the streets with pitchforks and fireballs anymore, but it's the same thing. We do the equivalent on social media now. Like it's an idea and catches, and all of a sudden no one has any sense of their own, and it just snowballs, and all of a sudden we've convicted a person, we want to kill them, we're standing outside their houses and they've done nothing, or maybe they did, but it's just crazy how all of this starts on social media. Just one quick post. All right, so Brandy is lost and out of the loop on that. So
I sent her the video. She'll catch up.
If you are anywhere near TikTok, you understand the controversy of Lance of Modern Warrior in Chelsea, and what she called her Wombland or whatever.
ain't gonna lie, Lance is fine as hell.
He's fine.
He's fine as hell. He's a fine ass. That's a fine Native American man.
Yes, he is. He's beautiful. He's absolutely beautiful. Man. But I don't know if he's worth all this trouble.
You better leave them women alone. Them the same. He does this platform for a reason. Why are you choosing the women that you have a problem with? I don't understand. Don't do it. Go away.
Well, now you know. Leave them alone.
Every time. This way happy.
Why is your light bill high? Fucking around with them white girls. Why you got hit by a bus? Fucking around with the white girls. That's just an inside joke with, people of color, because we, crazy shit happens when you mess around with white women. I mean, anything in the world can happen that wouldn't happen to you otherwise, but if you're messing with a white girl. So, and we'll blame it on that because old black people will blame it on that. We don't.
They sure will.
Don't make no sense. Well, old black people will say, "You ain't messing around with the white girl." All right. Exactly. All right. So last week we had promised you the most complicated story that ever existed, and so this week we're going to give it to you. So thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. This story was suggested to us by one of our viewers. Let me go back to the post that was sent to us. Let's see. Oh, that was a minute ago, a couple weeks ago. Did I send it in the group chat?
Literally yes. Right after
Carol, someone.
Yes. Carol Lofton sent us this. So basically she says, she enjoys watching our show every week. So we thank you. I'm glad you do enjoy it. She started off with watching our episode last year when we did Alton Coleman, the serial killer out of Ohio. But she had watched The Evil Genius, which we told you guys to watch on Netflix. Okay. And this involved a 2003 murder, conspiracy, bank heist plot type thing, which I had heard of before, but was hella complicated, and I didn't even understand it. But she asked that we actually do this because, she found it interesting, and she thought that it would be nice for us to talk about it. So here you go.
I had actually watched it when we worked at we worked together because I used to be on Netflix all the time. So right. That's when I had watched it, and and I was like, this is some crazy shit.
I had originally heard the story on a podcast called Case Files. And if you've never listened to Case Files, if you are a true crime fan and you've never listened to Case Files, you are missing out on life. I promise you. It's one of the what do they call him? The narrator, I think he calls himself either the narrator or the announcer. You don't even know the voice's name, but he has this. I guess it's an Australian accent, really nice, and they tell a great story, like heavily detailed and researched. And it's something to listen to on your way to work, or like any time, but like, because you're going to get immersed into it. But that's where I originally heard the story. And then I watched Evil Genius. And I'm still confused about how all of this happened. So the gist of it is, and as you guys know, we kind of tell you the story, we give you a few details, and then we give you our opinion, and we just kind of talk about it. Everything is unscripted here. We speak freely. If anything ever offends you on this show, click out. That's the best I got to tell you. There's an X usually in the top right-hand corner of every webpage. Go ahead and click out, or hit your arrow to the left and go the back that way, and then loop around us and come back next week. Like I can't tell you, because I mean, we're gonna say what we're gonna say, and that's what that is.
And we don't even know what we're gonna say.
We don't know what we're going to say. We know what we're going to talk about, but we don't know what we're going to say about it. We're all adults here. I do let YouTube know that this is not for children. So if you are children, then you might want to X or loop back. That's all the warning I give you. If we misspeak, let us know. If we don't give you some details, let us know. Write in like Carol did. Tell us what you want to hear. We'll talk about it. So she told us that. We immediately was like, we'll do it. But it took us a while to get to it, to kind of wrap our heads around. All right. So there's the housekeeping part of it. Those are the church announcements. All right, let's go. Okay. So I don't even know where to start. Okay. So the only part of the story that makes sense. So we're going to start in the middle. Okay, at like the height of the story, and then we'll just go from there. So August 28th, 2003, this middle-aged pizza delivery guy walks into a PNC bank in Erie, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. He's got a note. He's going to rob the bank. But here's the thing. He's got a bomb strapped to his neck. A whole collar. It's like two or three like interconnected things, and it's thick, and it's like, if you see a picture of him, it's like a grainy bank photo, security photo, but if you see it, you can see this huge collar, and he can't even put his neck down. Like, he's walking really stiff. You could tell it's heavy. He walks into the bank. He robs the bank. He walks out with almost $9,000. But he doesn't know that the bomb is really a live bomb. He thinks that the bomb is a decoy because he's a part of this crazy ass plot, which doesn't make sense.
Right.
Or is he involved?
He is involved, apparently, allegedly.
I was saying allegedly, because I'm on both sides. So I'm like, is he? But then, he grabbed that sucker. That just gave me involved vibes.
I think he was the best.
But then he also seemed like he was literally scared and terrified, like he did not know what was going on. So I don't know.
I think I think at some point, once he walks out of the bank, and what happens is he walks outside the bank, the people call the police, they call the bomb squad, because he tells them he has this bomb around his neck. Now, what I don't understand is the part of the plot that he had to wear the bomb and had to tell the people that he had a bomb, because none of the people in the bank were the target of the plot or the conspiracy. He wasn't even all right, let's go. He leaves the bank. I don't know, when he walks out of the bank, does he kind of get an idea of what am I supposed to do here? Yeah. He's supposed to be, I think, wasn't he supposed to be getting a call?
Going to the car to go to the first location to help get the bomb off. He's supposed to get these 3 keys. So after he left the bomb, he was supposed to get into his car, go to the first destination, get the key, go to the next destination, get the key, get these keys to get the bomb off. of him. But on his way leaving to try to get to the vehicle, which was not parked at the bank, it was parked down the street, to get to the car, the police come and stop him on his way getting to the vehicle to go get the keys to take the bomb off his neck.
Right. So they call the bomb squad, and they have
because he made some weird exit. Like he went by McDonald's, and then came right back on the street that the police was at. So I didn't understand that move either. But okay.
I just think because this car was parked so far away, it wasn't like it was outside.
Yeah, but he went to McDonald's. Didn't he go to McDonald's?
He didn't go in McDonald's.
Oh, I thought he wanted to drive through. Okay.
Yeah. So they have him.
That's weird though, because the McDonald's is here, the bank is here. Why are you walking in broad daylight that far away from your car with a?
But nobody nobody parks their car at the robbery unless you have a getaway driver.
But that's still, considering you have this big bomb. If you're nervous or you're scared,
he wasn't though, because
that's what I'm saying. That I guess it just plays into the conspiracy of which side is he on. I don't know.
Right. So at what
more
point,
common sense?
Because there's conflicting in the. I guess nothing. There are conflicting stories of whether or not Brian Wells was a part of the plot or if he was just the patsy. And there's also conflicting stories of whether he knew that was an actual bomb or if it was a fake. Because prior to that, and we'll go backwards a little. Prior to that, like Brandy said, he was supposed to go get these keys, and they were supposed to open this, and they were supposed to get another. It was like a wild goose chase, treasure hunt, scavenger hunt type thing, and it was never meant to work. Like it was, this whole thing with the bomb was never meant to work. There were so many with the scavenger hunt. There were so many clues that didn't lead anywhere, that were deliberately misleading. So even if the police had not stopped him, he wouldn't have gotten very far, because the bomb went off in the middle of the street while he was sitting kind of Indian style. And that's probably the wrong way to say that, but a very awkward looking Indian style, because he can't really move. And Brandy, you do say that if you can't move your neck, that's untrustworthy. So you knew that something was probably wrong with him because he couldn't move his neck. But so the bomb squad, they're on their way. It goes off 3 minutes before they get there. This thing is so powerful, it blows a hole in his chest. Like his entire chest is gone. Gone. But the bad part of this is pretty grotesque. The coroner had to cut his head off in order to get the collar off. Like even the ATF could not figure out how to unlock this collar. They had to decapitate this man at the morgue in order to get the collar off. That's how complicated this is. Who designed the collar? Was it Bill?
It was Bill and what was his name? Not crackhead Kevin. What was it? Floyd.
Floyd and Bill. Yeah, Floyd.
His name was cocaine somebody, crackhead somebody.
Brady's crazy. Because this thing was very, very, very complicated. Very complicated. So the picture that we have on our Instagram and Facebook is the one of Brian Wells in the bank, and you can see this kind of thing hanging off the side of his neck there. So he dies, and then that's when this all starts. That's when the investigation starts, because even though there's stuff before and stuff after, the story really starts with Brian Wells getting blown up by this bomb, because no one knows anything about anything at this point.
You know what's crazy is that when I tried to watch this documentary, I first started it and I was like, this couldn't be it, the one that they told me to watch, because it didn't start talking about the guy with the bomb. I was like, this has to be the wrong documentary, but it was the right documentary. It just had a lot of layers, and it didn't start out with the bomb. So I was confused on if it was the correct documentary.
Right. And when I first saw it, because I had already heard about, listen to the podcast. And when I first started watching Even Genius, I didn't know that that's what it was about either. I just kept seeing it, like it kept coming up on my feed on Netflix. And I was like, let me just watch it. And like, I think it's like 2 or 3 episodes in that you realize that this is the same story, but it still didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because here you have this middle-aged pizza delivery guy. He'd been working for the pizza, he'd been delivering pizza for almost 30 years. Really kind of, his life wasn't going anywhere. I don't know if he was unhappy with it, but it wasn't going anywhere. He just putting around Erie, Pennsylvania, his little car, everybody knew him or whatever. But apparently he got into it with the wrong people. And they got him involved in the most complicated, worst get money scheme ever. So, backwards. It all starts with Marjorie. Very intelligent, mentally unstable Marjorie. Marjorie has it in her head. Like, she's always had issues when she was growing up with her behavior, school, like understanding, and just kind of, she just had some issues in school or whatever. Not necessarily with her intelligence, but just interaction. Like she was socially inept. And so she grows up. She's all right, I guess. But where this starts is she has some sort of resentment for her father. And this starts off as a plot to kill her father because she says, or she thought, that he was squandering away a multi-million-dollar inheritance that would be owed to her once he died. So she's like, you spending my money before you die, and if you die, it ain't gonna happen. So she got it into her head that she was going to have her father killed, and that's how all of this starts.
It's not funny. It's just okay. Go ahead.
But I
don't even know what she kicked. Like what?
None of this is straightforward. Like none of this makes sense.
No.
Of how you want somebody to kill your father.
But that's like a thumbnail to this story. It's a thumbnail. It's not even.
It's okay. Like if anybody's familiar with Alfred Hitchcock, it's kind of like what they call a MacGuffin. Like in the movie Psycho. I don't know if most people remember Psycho, the shower scene, right? But what you don't remember is what you might not remember is she goes to a police department or something, and she's telling a story in the police department about some missing money or something like that. And Alfred Hitchcock really builds the story up about the main character and what she does before she travels to the Bates Motel. Mm-hmm. Well, you do all this, but it doesn't have a damn thing to do with the story. It
has nothing to do.
But in your head, it built it up and built it up and built it up. And he's got, it's really detailed and everything. But in the end, it doesn't go anywhere. It's never mentioned again. Once she gets in the car, nothing about what happens at the police station is ever mentioned again. It's called a MacGuffin. It's meant just to be there. It's not developed. Marjorie does this. She builds so many MacGuffins into her real life story. And they just get piled on top of each other. And so at some point, you're unable to make sense of what it was all about. So she hires these guys, and she has this boyfriend she has a boyfriend, and then she has a side dude. Okay. And none of these, okay, we shouldn't really equate this to physicality of the whole thing, but I mean, we're human, so we have to. I don't understand how Marjorie had all these men.
No, they weren't that tight.
I know. But neither was
but you know,
in his younger years, but I mean, as he got older, he wasn't tight.
No, Bill was walking around with suspenders.
But it was a moment in the documentary where they're literally talking as if she was like this swan, like this ugly duckling that turned into a swan. And I'm sitting like, what the hell are they talking about?
Girl, she was
like, she was so
silent.
You know, she all of a sudden grew into this extremely beautiful. I'm saying, like, what the fuck is going on?
She had one big eye, one little eye. So
Marjorie, like, I don't know if that plays a part of them trying to build up so we think why this is happening. Because I'm like, why are they saying this? That really stood out to me, y'all.
You know what Marjorie's doing to the men behind doors?
Yes.
You don't know how
that's what.
Man. You don't know how she was putting it down.
Right. That's exactly what it was. But to sit there, she was so ugly. And she turned so cool. I'm like, who?
No, Marjorie never grew into her looks. She never grew into her looks at all. Never.
No.
She was promiscuous. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she, and this is bad to say, and I'm sorry to say
she really wasn't very social and didn't have many boyfriends and all of that in the beginning. So,
well, she made up for it later on in life.
Indeed.
I think what it was is she, with her level of intelligence, she was super manipulative. And, you know, you can play the, you know, woe is me type thing and play the innocent and play stupid, but get people to give you exactly what you want. And that's exactly what she did.
I think
no way in hell.
I think her and Bill were a perfect match because they were the same type of person.
Bill Rostin. Now, Bill Rostin was the side dude, but I don't really think Bill was the side dude. I think Bill had always been the main dude, but played the side dude.
Off. Yeah, they just fell off.
When they fell off.
Yeah. So Bill Rostin, a very smart guy. Wasn't he like a teacher or something? I think in the documentary it mentioned that he was like a teacher or something.
Definitely taught, but I know they mainly just emphasized on the fact that he was also extremely intelligent.
I don't remember if he was a teacher, but he seemed kind of like he was just, what am I trying to say? Like he just flew in the wind, like he was in and out of her life. So like he would just, I don't think he had anything as stable as being a teacher or a job where it kept him in one spot. Because it seemed like he was just, you know, just floating from place to place, you know.
Well, he stayed long enough and hadn't played long enough to put James Rostin in the freezer. So Bill, James Rostin, Marjorie, what was crackhead? What did you say, crackhead?
I can't think of his name, but that he had a real nickname like cocaine something or crackhead something. I can't remember what his name was. It wasn't Floyd, though, was it?
Was it? I don't think it was Cocaine Floyd.
Well, his first name, not Floyd's last. Floyd was his last name.
We'll just call him.
He's the one that helped with the bomb, but he didn't really get in trouble because he helped with it, but he didn't know the real story of what they were going to do with it. He was just there helping Bill, but he really wasn't in on the planning and everything of what happened.
So you don't think he knew?
I mean, I think he was sketchy, kind of. He knew what was going on. I don't think he knew the plan. Like he was already a sketchy type of guy because, you know, he had the parts and all this stuff and kind of helped Bill with it. I don't think he knew like this was going to be a bomb and it was going to blow up so we can get this money and do all that. I think he was just kind of a sketchy guy around the way, you know. Oh,
you talking about Kenneth Barnes?
Is that his name? Yeah, some cocaine Ken. That's what they call it.
Yeah, Kenneth Barnes.
Cocaine Ken. I knew it was something.
Yeah. So you don't think that Ken knew what they were doing? You don't think he knew?
I think he knew they were doing something nefarious, but I don't think he knew exactly what they were. He was a shady character, but I don't think he really knew like exactly what they were doing. And if he did, he was high because his name was Cocaine Ken.
Could be, because you know there are you know Erie is a very industrial.
So him and Floyd are two different people. Then I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Because Floyd is the one who got, he testified with.
Yeah. So, when you talk about the drugs or whatever, drugs very rampant in certain form, like industrial areas in Pennsylvania that used to be very, good places to live, the former factory towns. And that's what happened with Erie. Used to be a former factory town and very industrious place. And then over the years, as things change, the industries go away, but it leaves like these little voids or whatever. So, you have a lot of room for trafficking and all kinds of crazy shit, making meth, and that. That's what's going on there. But anyway, this crazy plot to kill Marjorie's dad. Now, the funny thing about watching the documentary is Marjorie's dad is like, what? What?
But he's like, he knows his daughter's crazy, so he's
but he's like, I don't even know what's she talking about, what's she trying to do. And if you see where the man lives, I don't know where he's hiding.
Well, I don't know what she thought this Millie was. I have no idea.
I don't know what she thought he was for hiding these millions. So Marjorie is clearly, either she knows where the money is. I won't say where the bodies are buried because she knew where James was.
She was just a very well kept girl. Like, she didn't want for anything really. They paid for everything for her. So she probably thought they had money just because they kept her with, they took care of her. She had a lab and all of that.
Right. And also too, because she had some social issues and some instability issues, they protected her. I think that's part of it. She was like really, really protected. And like Brandy said, that might have given her this delusional thing in her head that my parents are wealthy.
Definitely mental, just her mentality unstable. Coming into, some of her issues, her mental issues coming into play because they just took care of her. But it's still.
And then if you listen to her, towards the end of the documentary, she's talking to a reporter when she wants to. Marjorie was off of her rocker.
She was definitely two different people.
She would switch in conversation. Like, she'd be pleasant, and then all of a sudden something would trigger her, and then she's like the evil genius that is the title of the documentary. But she,
now we do have to say that early in Marge's life, she had been found. She had been put on trial for killing a boyfriend, but it was found that she was not guilty by reason of
insanity.
It wasn't
mental instability. I think
it wasn't that either. It was this trial. Self-defense. It was self-defense. The first one, her first boyfriend that died, that she killed, it was self-defense.
Do you think it was really self-defense?
After all of this stuff, no. But we can't say that she did that because they said it was self-defense. So she didn't get in trouble.
No, we just speculate.
Didn't serve any time. I don't even think she had a trial. They just, after their investigation, they just found that it was self-defense. So I don't even think there was a trial. There was just it's self-defense.
That was just what they ruled.
So that's in her past before we get to the point where she's necking around with Bill, and we find out that her present husband, boyfriend / lover, is dead.
He's in the freezer.
And then Bill's free.
James Rostin was a part of the plot, along with Bill Rostin and Kenny and allegedly Brian Wells. And there was another lady, like a prostitute / junkie girl that's I forget her name. But anyway, she's in there too, because she kind of tells she kind of tells her story in the documentary. But she's just another small player in the plot. So they come up with this plot to kill her dad, and there's just all these crazy little cogs and pieces in there. Well, they kill James Rostin to keep him from telling the police about the plot. And they absolutely get away with killing James Rostin because they put him in Bill Rostin's freezer, deep freezer. No one knows that he's in there. Like, no one knows. No one's talking for the entire time that he's in there. But the moment that Brian Wells is killed outside of the bank, not the moment, but not too long after, Bill Rostin, still no one, the FBI, ATF, local police, sheriff department, nobody is connecting anybody to Brian Wells. Bill Rostin calls the police and tells them he has the body of James Rostin in his freezer. For why? For why? So that opens up a can of worms that they really still can't connect anywhere. Then Marjorie is brought into it, and Marjorie's like, I don't know nothing. I don't know. I didn't even know he was
Marjorie under the bus.
Under the bus.
He's scared for his life, and he doesn't want
to say the original car was thrown under the bus.
But this is my thing.
And do you think to tell the story?
Do you think? Well, and also too, he knew he was gonna die. He knew he was sick. He knew he was gonna die, and that he was never gonna stand trial. So that might have been a part of his evil genius to tell his side of the story. Maybe, like you said, throw Marjorie under the bus, like get suspicion all the way away from him.
He did.
So that when I go, or however long I'm here, I'm not going to do any time because I ain't got nothing to do with it, which he didn't because he died. But do you think that Marjorie would have done or said anything? Like, just, okay, Brian Wells walks into the bank, walks outside the bank with a bomb on his, blows his chest out. No one knows anything. What happens at this point? If Bill Rostin had not said, hey, I got that woman's boyfriend in my freezer, what do you think would have happened? Nothing. What do you think Marjorie's next move would have been? This would have been a bank heist gone wrong. That would have been it.
That's
a crazy bank heist with a guy with a bomb strapped to his neck. That would have been the end of this. Because I don't think anybody in this case had anything to gain or to lose by talking. Like, you don't have nothing to gain by talking because no one's talking. Like, this was the perfect crime. The only thing that they lost was the $8,872, I think it was. That's the only thing that they lost, that Brian got out of that bank. And my thing is, also, if they knew that the bomb was going to go off, what was the purpose of having Brian rob the bank? They weren't going to get any money. Because he never would have made it.
They probably thought he would at least get to the first set of keys and then they take the money and he
yeah.
But he got
But he got stopped by the police.
Yeah, because you remember they had that van. The van was at the first stop when they went through the actual process. So I think they intended on him to drop the money at that spot and then, continue on with the journey. So I think they thought they were probably just going to get the money and just,
Okay. Now, the way that Brian Wells got that bomb strapped onto his chest was before he went to the bank, he stopped. He got a call to the pizza place that he worked at. And there was a delivery to be made, kind of on the outskirts of town or whatever, to this outpost that was kind of in the woods. It ended up being
he was supposed to deliver a pizza.
He took the pizza, they called, worked with pizza, and he was supposed to deliver this pizza to like this address. So he goes to it and it's like a power station or something. Mm-hmm. The equivalent to a power station is out there. Well, Brian tells the police that it was 3 black guys that accosted him and put the, whatever, but it wasn't. He was meeting with whoever it was that put this bomb on him and gave him the instructions of what he was supposed to do next. Well, there is a letter, and I'll see if I can somehow get a copy of it and post it, but there is a letter giving the details of what he was supposed to do. They're very complicated and they were never meant to work. So he gets these instructions, and like Brandy and Jackie were saying, the next step after that was he was supposed to get 3 keys, and at each step after that, he was going to get another key to unlock the bomb, but the keys didn't work. So even if he had made it to the first one, like Brandy said, they would have likely taken the money from him, gotten him on his way, and the bomb would have detonated.
Mm-hmm.
But the bomb was not inconspicuous. So it's not like they strapped it to his chest. You had this big ass nasty looking collar. So I would have been, if I was in the bank that day, I'd be like, somebody call, because this is this? This not right. This not right. So of course it was the co-conspirators who called, made the order to the pizza. And another thing, there's also speculation that one of Brian's co-workers was also involved. However, he died within, was it 2 to 3 days after Brian, of a drug overdose?
Mm-hmm.
But supposedly he was involved, but that story really didn't go anywhere because he died of an overdose. So it really didn't, it was just kind of like one of those small player type things. Also, the prostitute junkie girl, kind of same thing. She was kind of adjacent to all of them, but not really involved. Nothing really ever happened to her. So Bill Rostin calls the police. Let's go backwards. Bill Rostin calls the police, tells them James Rhodes' body is in the freezer. And then Kenneth Barnes, he's feeling the heat too. That's when he starts to, he starts to tell his story about what happened. So Bill Rostin, which is Marjorie's side dude, says that, he tells the story. The reason why they were going to do this was because her dad was keeping money from her, or squandering her money, and they wanted to hire a hitman. So that was what they needed the money for, to get the hitman. But who the hell was the hitman? Did you have one lined up?
No.
Did you have anybody in mind? Did you know how much a hitman would cost? Like, y'all just willy-nilly robbing a bank and asking for any kind of change to see if that's gonna be enough? They was like, Smokey's mom, making enough. So, Marjorie was living with James like within a month or so of the Brian Wells murder. But they killed him. They put him in the freezer, but he was going to call the police. So they arrest Marjorie, but they're still trying to figure out, like, what the fuck does this mean? Because, like, we're trying to, like, okay, I know we're going around in circles, but that's the way the story goes. It literally goes in a circle, and your mind is blown at every single turn because you're still trying to figure out, like, as smart as these people are, like, where was this going? So he calls the police, they arrest Marjorie, and they start to figure out stuff. They're still trying to figure out, like, what Bill did, because, like Brandy said, he's throwing everybody under the bus, and he's trying to distance himself from it. Like, hey, I didn't do it, but I just let them use my freezer.
But then he writes a note saying this has nothing to do with the bomb around old boy's neck that happened down the street.
Yep.
Like, we wouldn't have known that, but thank you for the clues. So Bill has all the information, but he's like, but it has nothing to do with this, and I don't have anything to do with it. Then Kenneth Barnes gets involved and says, look, hey, I kind of knew what they were doing. I was kind of there. I might have, finagled a little bomb, but I didn't know it was going to blow up. Needless to say, the police didn't believe that bullshit, and he got 45 years. Marjorie, poor little Marjorie, she got, how many years did Marjorie get? What did she get? Like 20 years, I think, for killing James Rhoden. But she was convicted, she was convicted of murder, but she received 7 to 20 years, and for James Rhoden's murder, but she did plead guilty to that. Like I said, Kenneth Barnes got 45 years. And then Rostin died of lymphoma prior to any charges being brought up against him. Let's see here. Let's see. She went to court. Oh, her in court. She went stark raving mad in that courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
She acted a pure damn fool in the courtroom. Like, you can see her mental instability at that point in the courtroom. And she just kind of rambling on and on and on. Even, like I said, in her prison conversations with the reporter, she's just rambling on, and she's very easily triggered. It's like it's hard to even argue. Like, you can't even get her to make sense of anything. Like, there's no reasoning with her. Like, she's so deep into her, I don't even know what to call it, but she's so deep into it that one little thing, she just starts to berate the hell out of you. Like, she just digs in, and she's like on attack to the reporter dude the entire time that he's on the phone. And he's like, I was just asking a question. And she goes on the attack. I'm like, this lady is really crazy.
Yeah, she was crazy. Definitely crazy.
So
any little thing, it's just like she just got her own random triggers in her own mind. Like, it had nothing, like, it just was random moments of outbursts of upset, or I don't know. I was like, this poor guy.
Like, so I mean, he did because he had a story to tell. But
because he had that story, but I don't know, because like you said, he would just ask something simple and she just go in. Like, I mean, hard. And you'd be like, God. Dang,
but see, I think that's how you can tell.
She was upset that everybody who was in on it didn't get in trouble. Bill didn't get in trouble. Yeah. She was sitting up in prison.
Well, he died.
I know, but I still would be mad.
Why?
Because he did.
You the ringleader.
He was still part of it too, and he flipped on her. That's what made her mad.
Okay.
He told her. He snitched.
Brandy and I have very different views on criminality. Per my view, that if the three of us commit a crime, Jackie doesn't get caught, Brandy W doesn't get caught, and I get caught, I just got caught.
Pretty much.
And I'm going to take whatever they give me because I committed a crime, knowing that if I get caught, I'm going to do some time. I'm not going to snitch on you.
I set it up for you to take it.
I still committed a crime. You couldn't set me up if I wasn't doing shit. If we had all concocted a plot to do something, and either of y'all set me up, y'all going to get it on the outside, because I still know crooked ass people on the outside. But what I'm not going to do is be like, well, she was in on it tonight. Because here's the thing, neither one of us is going to get any less time.
Well, you're right. That's what I was just going to say. Maybe that's where you're coming in at, because at the end of the day, whether you snitch or not, she's still going to get your time. And you still going to get your time. So the snitching means nothing, because the time's still going to get done.
I'm still going to get time, because I still
did what I did. And if you don't get caught, then
Bill didn't get no time.
Because Bill died.
Yeah, he should have been in there with me until he died.
He did.
How you gonna stop him from dying?
He did.
How you gonna stop him from dying?
I ain't gonna stop him from dying, but he would have been up in prison enough time.
He wouldn't have.
Well, that's because he fixed it so that she would go down for it, acting like I'm afraid for my life and she gonna kill me, and I had to keep this body in my freezer. Whole time he's setting him up a defense, so he don't even look like he did nothing wrong, and that this crazy mastermind woman did it when he was a mastermind too.
But here's the thing, I don't think Bill would have came up with this had Marjorie not thought that her daddy had these millions.
Well, Marjorie couldn't have come up with this plan and all this. She didn't know.
I think she could have.
Oh, you said she couldn't?
I think she could have.
She most definitely could.
She couldn't make the bomb herself.
She couldn't make the bomb herself. She contracted it out, which is what you do.
Yeah, you don't contract it out. You had somebody else do it.
You know,
he took that money too because of that house, and his siblings wanted to take that house, so he was going to try to trick Marge out of that money.
And then this is where it plays to Marge's benefit. No. This is where it plays to Marge's benefit. Don't you need the money to make sure this is done? You need money just like I need money. So I say we get the bomb made so we all can get cut on my dad's money. I mean, she is orchestrating everything. She is manipulating their minds. Not saying Bill is not a manipulator, not saying that at all. I'm just saying she's mastermind.
Bill has something in the back of his mind the whole time, even though he's full of cancer. He has something in the back of his mind the whole time of what he was going to do.
Yeah, because Marjorie put it. You see, she was much smarter than he was. Not full of cancer, though.
He was in it just as much as she did, but he knew how to. He was more straight in his mind. She was already socially crazy and everything. He knew how to behave.
I understand where you're coming from, Brandy. I understand that. But here's the thing. If I am the person trying to kill my dad out of the three of us, you don't know you ain't got no beef with my daddy. Jackie ain't got no beef with my daddy. I'm the one who got beef, and I come to y'all and I say, look, this is what we're gonna do. My dad got this money, okay? So we gonna I want him dead. And you be like, do you? Because I know I can look, I got somebody, I got Dean in the backyard, and Dean will do anything for me.
Don't put Dean in this. Dean is a kind-hearted soul.
I know, but cocaine can't remind me of Dean. Just the type of person, without Dean. I mean,
no, cocaine Ken didn't look nice. He didn't look like he was gonna pick us up after school.
Nah, but I'm just saying. I mean,
don't put Dean kind-hearted.
I'm sorry, Dean, wherever you are in this universe. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you out there like that because you ain't never did that to nobody. But so I say I want my dad dead because he got this money, and you like, are you serious? You sure? Because I know a few crackheads and knock his ass off about $5,000. And I'm like, word? All right, well,
we need to do.
We need to find a way to get this money. And you're like, well, let's go with this. And then your man says, well, I don't feel right about this. His ass got to go. So that's how that works. Like somebody had to drop the seed and then everyone else picks it up. So it's my idea and I'm contracting out the work to other people. That's the way it goes. So the bulk of what happened should go on me because I'm the person who wanted the person dead in the first place. Marjorie wanted her daddy dead. Bill was a manipulator. Bill knew that he could take advantage of her because he'd been doing so for a long time. But Bill also knew that he, like you said, out of your mouth, he was full of cancer and he gonna die anyway. So he knew he wasn't gonna get in trouble. So out of all of this, I ain't gonna get no money. I ain't gonna get nothing because I ain't gonna get no money or no time because I'm gonna die. So maybe he got some sort of sick pleasure out of doing this just because let's just see if we can do it. Let's see if we can get away with it. Let's see how many people we can manipulate. Let's get crazy ass Brian to do it.
He has set it up in such a way with the whole body and everything that if they did come to him about the bomb, he was gonna make it seem like, oh, she made me do it. I fear for my life and all of that.
Yes, how was it? Wait. How was he gonna say it though?
Fear for my life.
Bill was not gonna say that he feared for his life like that. He was not going to mention it like that.
Then he said it with the boyfriend in the freezer.
What made he did?
He made it look like he was going to tell he was up front with the police. He was going to tell them everything. And that's why they didn't even look at him. And they probably wouldn't have looked at if they did. They would have been, they did give him some message, he had to do some time for mingling with the body. But he didn't get in trouble for killing them. But if it had come to the bomb guy, he had set it up in a way to make it seem like he feared for his life and he had to do it because she'd already killed 2 men.
Exactly. So Bill had valid reasons to fear for his life because she had lived with James. This is your man. He hitting it every night and you still killed him.
You don't think so?
Bill wasn't fearing for his life. That was a lie.
I think
not that he was living to fear for his life, but I definitely think there was a fear what if something in the back of his mind, it's always going to be a what if I piss her off and she killed me too.
He didn't fear for his life. That was all a lie.
Nah, I think he had valid reasons to fear Marjorie. Because clearly she was unstable, and that any disagreement with her or disagreeing with her plan made you a target.
He'd been messing with that woman all them years. He knew what kind of woman she was.
Right, exactly. So that's why after she had James killed.
That's why he knew.
Okay, so let me ask you, who do you think killed James? Bill or Ken?
I think they both did it. I think they both did it together because they both would have went down.
So you think that's why Cocaine King came forward when he did as well, to try to do the same thing? Like, let me be forthcoming with my story. Let me tell my story first, so that I can get ahead of the fallout.
Everybody knows who talks first gets the best deal.
Well, he didn't. He got 45 years. She got 20 years for the bank robbery, and then she got 20 years for James Rostin, and then she ended up getting life for the bank robbing charges, life in prison, and then she ended up dying of cancer in 2017. But okay, so let's talk about Brian, because he is still he's
Brian, some dumb, not smart guy. And the reason I say this is because the girlfriend said that they asked if she knew anybody they could use. And so she gets him. I think that she brings him into the house to introduce him, but not to tell him what was going on. Because the day he delivered the pizza, he asked for the money for the pizza. Now, if you was in on the plan, why would you ask for the money for the pizza? I think she just brought him in the house so he could be seen. This is the guy. They asked her what his schedule was down at the pizza shop, what hours he was going to be there, so they knew what to call for him to be able to deliver the pizza. I don't think he was in on it, other than, these are some sketchy guys that my prostitute girlfriend messes with, and I'm just with her. They needed to see his face and see who he was to know that he was going to be the one to bring the pizza. And they may have told him, I know they told him to say something.
Maybe promised him some money. And you think they promised him money or whatever? If you do this, we'll give you this.
It might not even have been that. It might have been like this bomb could be real or could be fake, but if you won't find out until you do what we asked you to do. I don't think he was in on the planning as far as he was going to get some money out of it or whatever. I think he just happened to be wrapped up with a jacked up girlfriend and they ran into some bad people.
So at the pizza delivery site, do you think so you said that the girlfriend took him over there, he's introduced to these people. So when he sees them at the pizza delivery site, he won't be startled by them.
Yes.
Because he's seen them before. He knows they're kind of shady, and they're like, hey, we need you to do this.
He was part of the planning at all. Like, we're going to put this bomb on you tomorrow when you come deliver the pizza. Because why would the man ask for the money for the pizza?
So, okay, but do you think that they roughed him up or fought him to get this collar around his neck? Because,
they probably did. It was all these people there and one of him.
That's a theory that kind of makes sense.
And he doesn't know if it was real or fake, but he knows he has to do these certain things.
Yeah. I just think, I really sympathize with Brian as a character in this tragic play. Because it was a real simple dude. He lived a real simple life, really didn't go anywhere, he drove the same car for years.
Went home to his cats every day.
Right,
lived his normal life.
Kind of, I don't know, was he a hoarder? He wasn't very clean. Let's just say that.
Did they show his house?
Yeah, they showed it.
They didn't show the inside. They showed the outside. It was like a little house, like a little in the back of someone else's house.
Yeah, he just went to work with the same, saved up to get the same prostitutes every time. Even that girl.
Yeah, he was just an older middle-aged bachelor with, just kind of like a
wasn't too smart.
Wasn't too savvy. And I think they played on that, and she played on that as well. because he had been pizza man for like 29 years. Like, who's the pizza delivery guy for the same 30 years?
He didn't have no record, anything.
Nothing. That's why I said the only thing that makes sense in the story, which doesn't really make sense, is the bank robbery. But outside of this guy walking into a bank and robbing the bank and then getting killed, nothing else makes sense in this whole story. Because if you take any individual piece of this, none of that shit makes sense. And then when you put all of that together,
definitely,
it's like when you get a ball of yarn and you start to undo like this, and it's called a yarn barf, and all the yarn just kind of gets like this, and you think you've unraveled it, but when you do, one piece tightens up, and then you got to go back, and what you've just unraveled is now tangled again. That's why I felt like, where do you go with this? Because like I'm pretty good at puzzles. You guys are pretty good at figuring things out, being analytical about stuff. But this shit still don't make sense to me. Like, if we could figure out this one part, like the Brian thing, okay, we can all agree that Brian was most likely not a part of this, not a part of the larger plot. He didn't plan any.
Oh.
Right. Because it doesn't fit their narrative. Because if Brian's not a part of it, how did you, how do you
let him die?
Right.
Then they let him die.
Instead of, because he's telling them in the street, like,
it's beeping
loud. Go.
It's beeping louder.
Well, he didn't need to tell them. They could hear it.
Yeah.
You could hear it. Like, I was like, they were literally treating him like a plague. I was like, I cannot believe they're letting him sit there.
Like, he's very urgent.
Like, I was like, what the hell? Then they stopped the traffic of the street that they need the people to come down.
Yeah. Like, they would have to get over the me. Do you guys remember seeing this live or seeing this on the news when this happened? I did.
No, I saw this thing and I still was like, dang, they showed it? But I don't remember it live.
I remember watching this on the news because this was before they really started to censor live news. Mm-hmm. Because I remember seeing this guy in San Diego. He was on the side of like one of the little bridges. I don't know if it was the Ortega Highway or some little highway in San Diego, but it was a bridge. And he was threatening suicide, and he had a shotgun, and he killed himself on TV, like live. So this was right around that same time, right before they started to really kind of give you that like 5-second delay on things.
Well, they started that 5-second delay after Janet Jackson.
Was it that? No, but because
prior to that, they were showing everything. Like, I know a couple of suicides that happened here, and they was live TV was rolling, and they showed them jump off the bridge and follow them all the way down, and kaboom.
Right. But then and so after, I guess, if it's after Janet Jackson, but they started giving the delay, even though high speed chases, they give a delay so that you don't see. So they have an opportunity to, cut and edit really quick and go to a different feed. But yeah, I remember watching this. But he's on the ground, and like I said, he's in a very awkward position. They've got their guns drawn. He's very urgent. Like, I gotta go. And then his chest just it's gruesome to watch. Very gruesome to watch. But like Brandy said, that if they make Brian innocent in this, then it makes the police guilty. At least makes them guilty or inept in this, and then they would have to issue an apology for not being prepared for this type of thing, or not listening, or not having a protocol for this, for just basically bungling the whole thing.
Because even if the bomb squad got there, they wouldn't have been able to disarm it. They had wires going to stuff that didn't exist, and they wouldn't have been
right. They wouldn't have been able to do anything.
Right.
But the police departments hate to apologize for anything, even the smallest thing. Not wanting to take responsibility for any part of it. So I think that's probably a reason why Brian Wells is not considered to be an innocent party in this. But really, someone without a record, a pizza delivery guy, he's not that smart. He's not capable. I don't think that he was mentally capable of coming up with something or getting involved with these people, because even in the area that they were in, Bill, Rostin, and Marjorie were worlds apart from Brian. You could just tell, like, they're not even in the same, whatever social circles they have, they were not in the same one.
I only think the little thing he did that probably was against the rules, that he bought a hooker every now and then. That was the only thing he did that was anything illegal.
Yeah, I don't think that should be illegal anyway, but that's another discussion. But
obviously, and even then, obviously they had to have a pretty decent relationship with him for him to be able to contact them. Phone wise, they must have felt decently safe around him. So I was like, that was pretty much all he did. Just every once in a blue moon.
Well, they said you're finding somebody that could be used and that would go for it. I mean, that would basically somebody who's dumb enough that we use as dumb enough for us to use.
Yeah, he was the best patsy that they could find. He goes to the same prostitute, like he's that's her dude, basically, for all intents and purposes, this is her guy, or that's his girl, because that's the one he frequents. So he trusts her. Even though she's drunk, he trusts her. She brings him to these people. And now they know who he is. He knows who they are. It's kind of like setting up little kids when little kids are like, oh, like a predator is like, oh, but I know your mom. And the little kid remembers, oh, yeah, you were at our house once. Okay, you seem safe. So when he gets to, they call in this pizza order, and he goes out into the middle of nowhere to deliver a pizza.
Just like, okay, it's y'all, but can I get the money for this pizza?
Right.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm quite sure he was like, where am I going? What is this? Because if you see pictures of where it is, I would have just kept driving. Like, I ain't getting out the car over here. But he goes, and then all of a sudden he sees people that he kind of recognized, like, oh, well, what are y'all doing here? Kind of thing. Where can I get my $29.52? And then they give him a note. This is what you're supposed to do. Go do it. Yeah, none of this makes sense. None of it makes sense. And
then she ended up being pregnant with his baby, and all of a sudden now she want to cry.
The junkie girl.
Mm-hmm.
You set him up.
Indeed.
You set him up. You set him up in this very complicated, doesn't make sense, going nowhere, MacGuffin, Alfred Hitchcockian type of crime.
And the whole time, Daddy's sitting up there dying, just getting old age.
The best comedy, the best relief, and it's kind of a comedic, ironic relief, is the dad in this whole story. Is the dad, because he's kind of like,
well, something always been wrong with her.
right? But the whole plot is to kill her father, and then her father's like, what is y'all talking about? Like, and then you see his house and in his condition, and you're like, where did she get this from? Where did Marjorie get this from? How did she assume that he had money?
Like those kids who they have they wear name brand clothes, and their parents drive a decent car, even though it's a big name car. It's not a new birth car, and they don't see the behind the scenes of their parents not having money, so they think they have money. They got these nice clothes. Dad drives a nice car. Mm-hmm. I never hear him talking about, we don't have whatever I want, I get. So my parents have money, even though my parents don't.
Right. Have. Which is the image that the parents want to portray. Yeah.
But she's an adult. She's a grown.
We are work right, Brad.
That's just true.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't up there.
This is true. I mean, she was 10 toes down. Like, she dug deep for this. Like, she would not let go of this assumption.
For Medicare and Medicaid.
All of it. And type D Medicaid, he got the commercial American Legion Life and everything else. He on with Alex, getting his life insurance from Alex Trebek, all of that. All of that. This was just a weird ass story. If you haven't seen The Evil Genius, it is still, like I said, it is still on Netflix. Like, you need to watch this. Like Brandy said, it starts 2 episodes before the bombing. And so you just watching it, you wouldn't know that that's what it is. But once you get to watching it, you're more intrigued with Marjorie than the story of Brian Wells. Mm-hmm. Because even though we started with Brian Wells, because you just can't start with Marjorie because it don't go nowhere. But like, if you start with that, then you can kind of go either way. But if you're just starting the way that they did the documentary, you start with Marjorie, you really realize that Brian is just seemingly, he could have been anybody. Brian Wells was just an arbitrary guy. Like, who he is really not important to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, him by himself, he's not important to the story. His name he could have been Kenneth, he could have been James, he could have been anybody in that area. They could have picked anybody. He could have picked the pizza guy who killed himself with the overdose. It could have been literally anybody that they got to do this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel a different way about him, but I can see what you're saying, but I feel a different way about it.
What? How do you feel about him?
You already know. I think that he when he saw stuff didn't start going right, he started setting up them dominoes to fall the way he wanted them to fall.
Brian or Bill?
Bill.
No, but I'm saying Brian, the guy.
Oh
no, yeah, Brian is Bill is definitely important to.
She's so pissed at Bill.
Yeah, she's mad at Bill.
He just up and died.
Brandy's mad. Brandy's mad that Bill died before he can get his just desserts.
Right.
The man was
as a woman of faith, his justice will get served.
It don't matter. I wouldn't have been doing no crime with nobody who was full of cancer and could have died anyway.
As a woman of faith, you already know this.
So you ain't gonna do no crime with somebody sick because they ain't gonna be able to do their time.
They can be sick, but they can't be full of cancer. They can have a little bit of sugar pressure issues. So
But so you got an application like, we can't rob this man.
You don't think hell is worse than jail?
A toenail fungus or something. Not full of cancer.
BW, hell is worse than jail.
I know, but I need to see him suffering somewhat.
Vengeance is mine, said the Lord, Brandy.
In prison, she couldn't even see him go down for the cancer.
She didn't need to see him go down. She had her own worries.
I need to see him go down. I need to see him all weak and struggling. I need to see it.
You're not the victim, though. You are a co-conspirator.
You made this plan with me, and I'm up in here doing time, and you out there scot-free living. Mm-mm.
He wasn't living scot-free, Brandy. The man was full of cancer. He was suffering.
I can see him suffering, so it don't happen if I don't see it.
Just is scot-free.
As a co-conspirator, as someone who also committed a crime, you mad because as if you're the victim and you want to see them go down?
I need to see it. I need to see you suffering like I'm suffering. You done put a hold on me and put me up in here.
He didn't put her in there. She's the one who started this.
He called and said a thing about the thing being in the freezer. They wouldn't have known nothing about the freezer if he hadn't got on the horn and tell him to please.
Who asked him to kill James in the first place?
It don't matter. He got his own will. He got his own will. The fact that he was full of cancer, he probably should have said, no, I want to live my days out peacefully so I can see my personal Lord and Savior. But no, he didn't say that. I'm just saying.
It tickles you when she says personal Lord and Savior. I do it.
He's my personal Lord and Savior, but it's just the way she said, because she's still mad, but she said it in a nice way. No, because she's still a saint at the end of the day.
You should have said, no, my days are few upon this earth, and I'm going to keep my hand in the hand of the man who can calm the waters. But no, he didn't do that. He going to set it all up, call. They wouldn't know nothing about that man in that freezer. Nobody would have been looking in his freezer. Nobody went going through that hoard to even find nobody if he hadn't got on the horn and tried to call the police and set it up in such a way. And he knew something was going to go down because the whole bomb thing got botched. So he was just setting his way on up. He should have just never got involved. If he knew that his days was numbered, he should have just never got involved.
Let this be a lesson to all criminals. If you are full of cancer, don't commit a crime. Because you won't be able to serve out your sentence. And your co-conspirators are not going to be satisfied. Not the victims, but the co-conspirators will not be satisfied with your lack of sentencing. So if you are full of cancer, you're not committed. You can have the sugar, little high pressure, little cholesterol or something, a little foot fungus, but you can't be gallstones, but not be full of cancer.
No. Not full of cancer.
I can't. That's why I can't argue with Brandy, because she be saying shit like this. Like I can't even argue with her because
you know it makes sense what I'm saying.
No, you don't. You don't.
He knew his day was. He knew he wanted to get to the upper room. He should put his hands in the hands of man to calm the water.
Your argument could have some traction if you didn't bring the Lord and the Bible into your, like you started quoting scriptures about it. Like it would have traction if you didn't do that.
I'm just saying what I feel and what my thoughts are on the case.
I can't. Well, Carol, I hope we've talked about this in a manner that does it justice. But we did talk about it in the way that we normally talk about stuff. So I can't go on with Brandy tonight because she's gonna start scripturing and I can't do this with her. And then Jackie just feeds and gasses her up.
I trust it's question.
That's because Jackie got a home church. Don't get on her because she got a home church. We don't need to worry about Jackie because the Lord done spoke to me years ago and told me Brandy was going to be with me.
And that is what we're going to end on tonight. Thank you so much, ladies.
I didn't even hear what you're saying.
Another episode of Black
When you cut off, I didn't hear.
And please join us next week for another episode. Thank you so much.
I hear, Brandy.